Boys. All right. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, and welcome to the Blurring the Lines podcast. This is episode number 176. I'm your host, Adam Bell, and joining me as always is my marathon running co-host, Peter Nikolaidis. How you doing, Peter?
Doing good. Doing good.
Showing off the
Yes.
guns, the sun's out, the
Yeah.
guns out.
I haven't worked them for a couple of days. I'm really tempted to declare push-up bankruptcy.
Push-up bankruptcy.
Yeah. So as you know, yes, as you mentioned, I had a rather long run last week.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, I did no push-ups for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a holiday weekend. So I started this week with a 300 push-ups deficit. And I finally caught up with it 2 nights ago and did no push-ups yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm back to 100 down right now.
It's funny. You must think I'm really a jerk because I wasn't going to hold you accountable to those. I mean, you ran a long ways.
I think you're my accountability buddy.
Well, I know. I mean, there's reasonable accountability, then there's dictatorship accountability. Like I was out with COVID and felt really bad. I wasn't coming back and doing those push-ups that I skipped while I was sick.
What do you mean?
Yeah. What are you talking about?
I don't does not compute.
Yeah, I'm about to hear David Grogan. Push up, MF.
Push up, MF. Yes. So,
down. We're not finishing this podcast. You pump out 300 push-ups.
Bingo. Yeah. Well, I'm not that bad. The only time I declared push-up bankruptcy was when I was on vacation. And I felt like I had aggravated my rotator cuff, and I decided. So I took off 10 or 11 days, I think.
Yeah, injury. That's because I kept doing mine then.
Yep.
I mean, I've missed some. I mean, I guess I've probably missed this year 5 or 6 days. Just it went through where I was completely exhausted doing other physical things.
But on balance, like I think I'm still ahead because there were plenty of days last year when I was doing 200 per day. Right. So I think I'm still a little bit ahead, but whatever. I feel like I'm living up to the spirit of the challenge.
Yeah. So if you want a little bit of grace, I'll set you at you only have to do 100 today.
Ooh.
Because I still have my 100 to do today.
Excellent. Well, today I am only planning after this. I'll be doing my first long afternoon run for some time. Now, you may recall that after we would podcast, I would often go out for my run in the afternoon. And then they got a little too long for that.
Yeah. And hot and hot. Dark. Yeah.
Exactly. So my plan is today to go out. I'm only doing 21 miles this week. Today I did 30 for the week, 21 today. Because last Saturday I did 31. 30.97, I should say. 30.97.
Okay, so not 31.
No, not quite. Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. Pretty close.
That's a lot of mileage.
That was a ton of mileage. Yes. It's so I'll put a link. I found a new little app called Relive, which takes your GPS export files and animates them, turns them into an animated run. So you can see the little
nice
pattern that I ran. It's pretty slick.
And anybody who's been listening to our podcast for however many years that we've been doing this, there was a time when Peter had never even run a half marathon. And now you're running more than a marathon for fun.
For fun. Yes. Well, I mean, I only ran that half marathon for fun as well. But yeah, no, so I'm doing it. And now I'm already starting to think ahead. So the race is on the 25th. So it's just, just a couple of weeks away. And I'm already starting to think ahead as to like, okay, what am I going to be doing after? the run, like
Mm-hmm.
what's my plan gonna be? And
Mm-hmm.
because after my first marathon last October, I had to take, a few months off because of injury as a
Mm-hmm.
result. And so now I'm trying to think, okay, I don't want to injure myself again. Hopefully my training plan has built me up to this so I can run this injury free.
And how
And
many
then
miles is it?
31. So
31.
31 with
Yeah,
5,600 feet of elevation.
you've almost done it.
I've almost done it. I'm close. I'm close. So we shall see. We shall see. But I'm trying to think, like, do I want to go back? Like, because it's easy to fall back to my like 10K every other day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I really want to, like, I think I want to do like at least a half marathon every week,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe once a month do a marathon or something like that. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. So I'm thinking about it. Listener, what's your opinion? How much should I run? And if
So
your answer is too much, then great. I follow.
so have you considered doing the Boston Marathon? I mean, you're
I've
right there.
Yeah, I have considered it, but to qualify to run it like for real, I am nowhere near fast enough to make that time.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
So
I mean,
yeah,
it's big boy,
it's big league. Yeah, no,
big
Boston
league.
Marathon is like an elite marathon. Now, I think you can do it like as a volunteer for charity kind of thing. I think there are
Mm-hmm.
loopholes that you can get in,
Mm-hmm.
but and again, to really compete, well, I'm not really competing in any of these races. I'm
Mm-hmm.
finishing like in the top 80th percentile when I do actually run a race.
Yeah.
So which is, hey, top 80th
You
percentile. I mean,
you did it. I can't even do it.
yeah.
So
Well, you haven't tried.
yeah.
So tell me, when you do the CrossFit Murph workout,
Mm-hmm.
how does that work?
So
Like, what are the exact, like with the breakups? Do you do them all like one shot, or do you do them in pieces? How you rest? How do you do those?
so I do the 1 mile run, and then I come back and
How do you break up that 1 mile run?
one step at a time.
Got it. Okay.
Got it.
About 5,600 feet, give or take.
About that, yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Close, give or take.
Give
Give
or
or
take.
take.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I do that 1 mile, and
Yep.
then I come back and do so the 100, 200, 300. I like to split that up into four. I like to break that up into four. So I'll
Yep.
do my 25, was it pull-ups, 50 push-ups, and then 100 squats. So
Okay.
air squats, or I guess 75. Yeah,
Yeah.
75 air squats. So that's the way
Got it.
that I like to do it.
Okay.
Um, I know some of the guys that I work out with, they just go straight. So they do the 1 mile, then they do the 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats. I've done it both ways.
Yep.
Well, and of course, then the mile run after that. I've done it
Right.
both ways. I prefer splitting it up because I overtax myself. The
Mm-hmm.
pull-ups, I end up straining more
Mm-hmm.
to do the
Mm-hmm.
pull-ups when I'm completely exhausted. The push-ups are not a problem for 200 push-ups. I mean, you and I could do 200 push-ups, in no problem, 30 or 40 each
Yep.
time. So it's not a
Each
big deal.
time.
Push-ups are easy. And then the
Yep.
air squats, I end up having really sore hamstrings if I just nail those things 300 in a row.
Yep. Yep.
So that's why I like partitioning it. But that's just my opinion. But if you're going to do it pure, you're supposed to do it 100, 200, 300, and you're supposed to have a vest on.
Oi.
Yeah.
That's what it takes to be a Navy SEAL, huh?
Yeah.
Oh man.
So why do you ask?
Well, I was just curious because the way I break it up is like 10 pull-ups. And again, as we know, I call mine the modified mediocre Murph.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do the run paired with it, but I often do it on days after I've run like 10K.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming I've got the energy left tonight, I'm planning on doing it tonight while watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get back to that in a second. Let me make a quick note before I forget. Um,
Ted Lasso.
but what I do is usually 10, and I forget, when you turn the hands, so your palms are facing forward when you're doing the pull-ups.
Mm-hmm.
I do it
Reverse grip.
on reverse grip. I do it on through like essentially a broomstick supported between two bar stools. So I'm not pulling straight up. I'm doing it at an incline, starting with lying on the back. What I do though is I don't go to like full extension the whole way. I don't let my elbows go extend all the way out, so that I'm never letting go. I'm always in that like 75% expanded zone. Because supposedly, like when you let go forever, or when you let go completely, then you're just hanging. Your biceps aren't doing any work. It's all just grip muscles. So I've been told that by never like letting it go while that's happening, you keep things tighter. You do a little more work. But anyway, I do 10 of those, 20 push-ups, 30 squats, and I do those in sets. Now most days I just do up to 50 pull-ups, 100 push-ups, 150 squats. Sometimes on days when I don't run at all, that's when I do the full amount. Or if I'm like, hey, I'm sitting around watching TV tonight and I've got some energy, may as well do some more work.
Might as well. Yeah. Well, I can tell you've defined up a little bit.
I've been getting the dictionary out. Yeah, dictionary out. I've been looking up words, making sure they mean what I think they. Oh, that's not what you meant?
Yeah. Aardvark. Okay.
Ard.
No, you've got definition in the shoulders and traps and
it did not take very long at all. Didn't take very long. Like I don't remember how long when did I start them? We could go back in Signal and find out, but it was after I watched the terminal list on, and found, I was like, oh, this is the workout that Chris Pratt used to get into, Navy SEAL shape. I'm like, that looks kind of like fun. so there you go.
It's like, cool.
Yeah.
All right. What else you want to talk about?
Well, as we mentioned, I did run 31 miles. And, to be clear, this is ultra running, which means that, and that is built on the 3 pillars of running, walking, and eating. Right? So I started at my parents' place, and it was like the first, 4 miles or so was just like straight uphill. Like up, climb. And I ran very little of it. Got up to what used to be my favorite mountain biking trail, which I am pleased to report has not significantly changed in over 20 years. It's just as I remembered it. Like there were specific parts I was like, I wish I had my bike. And, but it was really cool running that for the first time, so that was, I started in Bethel, Vermont, and then crossed up into the mountains into Rochester, Vermont. And then it was mostly down. So it was like all uphill climb to the top of this mountain, and then a gradual decline for, like a couple, maybe 1,000 or so feet or so into Braintree, Vermont. And then from there you hit back roads, class 3 roads, much smoother, easier downhill stuff. From there I hit pavement and came into Randolph, Vermont. And after about 14 miles, that's where I stopped at a gas station. Because I didn't have my car handy, so when I've run around here, I usually do laps and I use my car as an aid station. So I hit a gas station, bought some beef jerky, a few liters of Gatorade, tanked up on that, filled up my my bag. And then I hit the climb up to Randolph Center, Vermont, where my alma mater, Vermont Technical College, is. Got to the top of that mountain, tacked in at the McDonald's, reapplied sunscreen, or applied sunscreen, I should say, for the first time there, as well as, checked all my, gear, blew my nose, used the bathroom and whatever. Ate a small fries, and that was a mistake. Continued up the hill about another mile or so, got to VTC, touched the VTC marker, turned around, ran back down, hit a gas station right next to that McDonald's, bought more liters of Gatorade and Powerade, made the mistake of keeping the hard plastic bottles with me.
Oh yeah.
And because even like stuffing them into my bag, like the 20-ounce ones, they'll fit on the shoulder carrying of my my Nathan sport vest, hydration vest, but it's uncomfortable. And so I tried to crush them down and stick them into my pack.
They're too hard.
But once I had left that gas station, there were no trash cans
Yeah.
for another, 15 miles or so.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was carrying them, and it's uncomfortable. It's digging into my back. And, it's just like, all right. So note to self, even though I wasn't using them, I carry my little collapsible bottles with me now.
Mm-hmm.
And standard practice, if I'm going to buy water somewhere, fill them out, throw the containers
Dump it
out.
into that makes sense.
Yeah. So I did that, and walked a lot. It's hard when carrying a full pack with liters of water in it. That slows you down.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then it started getting pretty hot. Definitely got a little bit singed, a little sunburned. I didn't reapply sunscreen, and I should have.
Mm-hmm.
But I made it back, home. It was I think it was around 6.5 hours average moving time.
Mm-hmm.
Not the greatest speed, but it was like at that pace I should be able to finish the race on time. so we'll see though. It's going to be different. Like, one thing, there will be aid stations more frequently. I was able to stop 3 times, but they were all like towards the halfway point.
Mm-hmm.
During the race, they have an aid station, like I think there are 4 or 5 of them throughout the race, rather evenly split, like every 6 miles or so.
Okay.
So I'm not going to need to carry as much food, not going to need to carry as much water. So that'll make a big difference.
Yeah.
And and hopefully, a few more weeks, weather will be a little cooler. It'll be fall in Vermont, peak foliage season, maybe.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Cool. Well, I just recently reread Jesse Itzler's book, Living with a Seal, and he was talking about the ultra marathoners, and he was talking about this one guy who'd run the 100-miler, and he would have pizza delivery scheduled at certain stops. I'm like,
yes,
you're talking about, I think pizza would be better idea than French fries, but I don't know by how much.
I was just going to say, but not by much.
Yeah, I could just imagine. I mean, because I could probably, if I had to run, and if I had taken just a little bit to let it digest, you're there for a few minutes, go to the bathroom.
Yep.
I could probably eat a slice of pizza.
Yes.
I don't think I could handle more than that and then take off running.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've heard I've heard stories of like Scott Jurek, who's a legendary ultramarathoner, being seen eating a burrito while running downhill from an aid station. Hal Kerner cited that. So yeah, I'm excited. It'll be interesting. My running buddy Greg will be crewing for me.
Okay.
So he will be, I have to give him a crash course. Oh, bad word. I have to give him an orientation on how to drive my car so we can take the Tesla up to Vermont. But I got us both rooms at this bed and breakfast nearby. That's my thank you to him. It's like, here, I'm put you up for a night in a swanky little B&B in Vermont.
I'm gonna let you sleep on my couch in my room.
Yeah.
Thanks, Peter.
So he'll meet me at the aid stations though. And so in addition to whatever food they have at it, I can make sure that I've got good food that I want there. And I have not experimented with eating like, real food on the trail, like a sandwich or something like that. It's pretty much M&Ms, Cliff Bars, nuts, fruits, etc.
I could eat some of those things like the applesauce and things like that.
Yeah, there's an idea. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Get natural applesauce rather than the ones loaded with sugar. You'd probably sit well with you.
Or just an apple.
Yeah.
But I would say applesauce would go down more easily for sure. So yeah, but I'm at the point now where I'm tapering. So again, like 31 miles last week, 21 this week, 15 next week, and then it's race day. Boom. So just a 3-week taper, taper down. So
nice.
Yeah.
I wondered what you meant by that.
Yeah, that's tapering. This is in long run prep. Tapering generally shows that it has generally improved performance by, I think, something like around 4 or 5% compared to if you don't, take a break, if you just train all out, like right up to race day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm still tired. My hips and my low back are still sore It really didn't kick in for a couple of days after though. So like I ran Saturday and it was like Tuesday. I was like, ooh, I'm still a little stiff, and I'm still a little stiff today, but I decided to do the run tonight instead of tomorrow. Again, it'll be interesting because it's not going to be dark by the time I get done. At least I hope it's not. But it'll be getting darker, and for a change, I'm going to start at the hottest time of day, and that's just going to get cooler. So that's rewarding, as opposed to like had I started this morning, it's just only going to be getting hotter the whole time. So hopefully that'll be more like realistic, like real conditions, because I'm going to start at around 8 a.m. I think is kickoff for my class, and I'm hoping to finish around 4 o'clock, 6:30 being the absolute cutoff. So we shall see. See.
Yeah, you'll do it. All right. So how's your cholesterol?
Well, I don't know how my cholesterol is, but I can say that my cholesterol intake is dropping significantly. Yes. Okay. So we haven't talked about this on the podcast for a few weeks, right? Because we had a couple things came up. Like one, I was driving north to Vermont to visit my parents, and then to run my 30 miler up in Vermont last week. And the week before that, I think you had something come up.
Yeah, we did, but we did do the podcast with Scott.
Yep. But
then I was planting last weekend for Labor Day week, or Labor Day weekend.
But something happened before that, the weekend before that.
Beside me getting COVID?
That one.
Oh yeah, that was fun. That was fun, by the way.
How was your COVID experience?
Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being completely awful, 10 being, hey, this was fun, I would say it was probably around a 6. I mean, 5 or 7, 6 or 7. Not, I didn't feel terrible. I didn't lose my taste. I did.
I think you still have pretty good taste.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think your wife would agree.
She's a smoking hot trophy wife. I did well. Yeah. No, I didn't lose my.
Would you, like, on the tiki scale, would you rate it at around normal?
Yeah.
I just sent it to you. You can look at it on your screen. Yeah.
So I went to the doctor, and they didn't want to give me the antiviral medicines. They said
Paxlovid.
So they really wanted to save that for people who were at risk and really having hard symptoms. And I wasn't having hard symptoms, so they put me on a steroid instead, which really minimized it, I think, because I felt okay while I was on the steroids, and it's that standard 5, 4, 3, a 5-day process where you start out with a whole bunch and then it tapers down. So I felt okay.
I know about tapering.
Yeah. But my worst symptom was I had a hard time focusing cognitively. Like I really had to, if we were going to talk about something important, I really had to focus, don't have any distractions if I want to sit and think about it. Not so bad that I, went to like Forrest Gump intellect, but I'd start something and I just, have the low energy and focus on trying to do whatever it was. And if I really need to focus on something, if I'm really going to work on something long term, I'll do a half of a 5-hour energy drink. So like if I'm doing a long weekend at the farm, I might have half of one of those on Friday, and that'll take me all the way through the weekend.
Okay.
Well, I took a half of one and it didn't do anything. It didn't do any but I knew not to do, not to drink the other half, because then I just would sleep poorly and have no focus.
I generally don't do 5-hour energy drinks. I did one of those about 10 years ago. And I remember I had it around 4 o'clock in the afternoon because I was driving to Boston and I was feeling a little tired. I had a half of one and I was awake all night.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, that's not good. And, recently doing a little more research and stuff about how, like, what caffeine really does for you. And it doesn't really wake you up. It just makes your body think that you're awake and don't need to rest. So like on that note, I'm trying to just have one cup of coffee in the morning, and then I switch to decaf. I'll drink decaf all day because for the habit and the taste. I am still liking my experience with cordyceps mushrooms, and I'm using those for energy. I think I will put a link in the show notes in case anyone's interested in those.
I guess I didn't hear about that.
We didn't talk about mushrooms yet? Oh, I thought we had talked about that. Oh, maybe I said it was because it was too soon. But it's been, I guess, more than a month at this point. I started them back in July. And at first I was a little bit skeptical, but a friend of mine, one of my teachers who's into Chinese medicine and acupuncture, recommended those. And he did an interview with the founder of the company who's selling these. And yeah, he said, I've been having, other acupuncturists have been having good luck with these to help treat symptoms of COVID, like long COVID stuff. And I was like, well, I think I got the long COVID part, figured out. I'm not really worried about that. I don't expect there to be, long, hopefully knock on wood, complications, because I feel like I recovered pretty well. And he's like, full disclosure, I get a little bit of a kickback. It's a referral link. I'm like, yeah, I get it. That's, but what the hell? Let me just throw him a couple of bucks. Let me just see what's going on. And I asked him, like, because one thing that I've noticed is he and I have had very similar stories about our experiences. Ooh.
Those look gross.
Yeah, well, you don't actually eat them. You eat them. I take them in tincture format. So they, just a little bit of a dropper, and it tastes great. But less he filling. And I have less filling. Yes, exactly. We've had similar stories about the like how our bodies have reacted to certain things over the years. So I was like, well, if it works for him, let me see. Maybe it'll work for me. And now I have tried things like lion's mane and chaga. Like I bought one of those, like a lion's mane coffee. This was at the suggestion of Tim Ferriss some years ago. And, I love Tim Ferriss's work, so I wanted to support his podcast. So I'm like, fine, I'll buy one of these things. Sure. I got nothing out of it. I got absolutely freaking nothing from it. It tasted okay. It was like, it tasted kind of like Sanka instant coffee. I was like, this is not good. I don't really like it. But furthermore, I don't feel this I'm on fire energy that I was supposed to get. So I was a little skeptical. And I told, my teacher that, and he's like, yeah, it's not like you take it and boom, oh my God, I'm on fire. It's more like over time, and it takes about a month or so, you feel your energy levels sort of, they start to even out. So you don't have peaks, but more importantly, you don't have as many valleys. And he told me he was using it when he was teaching, going back and forth between Boston and Ireland a lot to teach. So you've got this jet lag thing constantly. And after he was on him for about a month or so, he said his friend observed that he seemed just to be more even and have more energy. And I was like, what the heck? I'll give it a shot. And as is often this, the way, like, so I went in not expecting anything. And I'm not expecting I'm going to put the dropper in. I almost said, oh, wow, look, everything's great. I'm, super energetic or anything. But I noticed after about a week that I looked back on, my Apple Health app where I track everything, thanks to my Apple Watch. And it showed that my sleeping time per day had gone down by about an hour. And this was in the like one of the many summer heat waves that we had in July. And I was still feeling fine. And my energy levels were fine. And I was out doing my long runs in this heat wave. Now there was a time during the heat wave where I did have to take a couple of times off because it was just, ungodly hot. But I was running, like 17, 18, 19, even 20 miles in, like 80 degree weather and stuff, and feeling pretty good at the end of it. Yeah. And then I looked back and I was like, oh, I've been taking these mushrooms for a couple of weeks. Who knows? Maybe, right? Maybe, sure. But since then, my sleep time has still been a little low. I kind of would like to get more, but I feel okay. I feel like I'm performing adequately. I don't feel like this had a super impact on my performance. So anyway, I have subscribed. I get a recurring, monthly delivery. And I went through the first one a little fast, so I ordered a second one-time bottle. And then I have my new one. So my new one, I just opened the my spare bottle 2 days ago, and my new delivery will be here in a couple of days. So I always have one spare so I don't run out.
Yeah.
Now, I did also try reishi mushrooms, not to be confused with Reiki energy, not the same. And those are supposed to help you calm and sleep.
Okay.
I've noticed
you're taking uppers and downers.
I've noticed no difference from the downers. The downers don't seem to do anything to me at all. That doesn't seem to affect my sleep patterns whatsoever. So I'm not recommending those, but I'm feeling like I'm sold on cordyceps. And I haven't tried this particular brand of lion's mane and chaga. Maybe there's something more there, but right now, just doing cordyceps at the recommendation of my friend and teacher, Josh Summers. I'm pretty happy with it. And I will throw a link into the show notes in case anyone else wants to try it. And, you'll
Cool.
get $10 off, and I have no idea what I get. Supposedly I get something, but I imagine, if I'm lucky, maybe it's $1, but I don't know, so I have absolutely no idea.
You get some of the special psychedelic mushrooms for recreational use.
Well, that was the funny thing too, is because I thought about that, how can these things actually do it, have any sort of noticeable effect? It's just a few drops. And then in one of his emails to me, my teacher reminded me, have you experimented with psilocybin? And I was like, no. It's if you ever have doubts about the effectiveness and the power of mushrooms, do some research or try that. But, that's you're talking people tripping, real major league stuff. And I was like, that is true. That is, mind altering, kind of stuff, which I have not tried. Kind of curious, but not curious enough to actually do it.
Yeah.
Right. But that is a very good point. If you doubt that mushrooms can have an effect on your brain and maybe on your body, look over there. Yeah. So I was like, that's interesting. So, so there you go.
Fungus scares me a little bit. I mean, of course, I know penicillin and all of our antibiotics there's a lot of fungus that we use for medicine, but something getting in my body and growing that don't.
Well, we have a lot of that already going on.
Well, I know that.
Your gut is full of that
gut,
kind of stuff.
My gut, my mouth. I mean, my nose. I mean, everything's. There's whatever micro things, organisms living on us, in us, part of us. So I get it, but still. I see a fungus cloud, you stomp on those mushrooms and I'm like, I don't want that in my body. Spores.
Breathe that in.
So I've got a quick question about the meter.
Yes.
So I got it. I took it to the farm and I wanted to cook my steaks, but I didn't prepare ahead of time.
And charge it?
I didn't charge it. And I opened the box and it says, you must charge this 4 hours before use. I'm like, 4 hours? I thought maybe a half hour. And then what I wasn't expecting is I was expecting to charge it on something, USB or whatever, but it just takes a regular alkaline battery.
Yeah.
And that's what's charging your thing. So that threw me for a loop, but I put it on the charger. I cooked my steaks the old fashioned way. And then, and then I forgot it. It's still down at the farm.
Channeling Landers. I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Meter is down on the farm. So when I go back out there, I've got to pick it up and then try it.
Yep.
So
that's too bad. Yeah. I have been using my meter, not as much, however, because as I told you and friend of the show, Scott Wilsey, but not on this podcast yet, I am watching my cholesterol. And you did ask me, how is my cholesterol? And I told you my cholesterol intake is down, but I got sidetracked as to what happened. So I had my first annual physical of the year about a month ago, I guess, at this point. Not quite, I don't know. And in addition to my white blood cells count being low again, just like last year, which I was like, I completely ignored. And my doctor, because I told him about the fiasco that I had last year, where they're like, oh, yeah, are you sick? No? Huh. Could be cancer. Could be AIDS. Could be anything. I'm like, great. Thanks a lot. That's great.
That blood transfusion that you took, that was a bad idea. I've never had a blood transfusion. Oh.
So so I talked with him about that, and he didn't raise any concerns, but he did raise concerns about my cholesterol. And this time it's like in the 160s, whereas last year it was like in the 130s. It's been high before, but now we're talking like, okay, this is a little ridiculous. It's a little too high. So not at all surprisingly, his knee-jerk reaction was like, we want to put you on a statin. And I said, no, you don't. Quoting Michelangelo, I believe, maybe bastardizing it, but it's a mistake to try to solve a problem first by addition. So why don't you give me some time to change my diet, and let's see how that goes. And
well, so that's because most people don't want to change their diet.
I agree, that probably is true. Most people probably don't want to change. And he has been conditioned by the medical big pharma industry to just push pills. And
I don't think it's big pharma. I think it's people. People are lazy.
Well, I'm going to put a link in the show notes to a podcast that might back you up on that, but I'm sorry, that won't back you up on that. That will talk about big pharma being a real big component in this. But no, I believe me, I'm pretty sure it was Robin who recommended Change or Die, as part in one of her series and stuff. And people don't want to change. I get that. I totally get that.
Yeah.
I don't want to change, but if I have to, I will change, right? But I'm going to post a link in this. Here it is. I finally found it. A link to this podcast. It's an episode of the Jordan Harbinger show where he interviews a guy on how big pharma has just like done a lot of bad bleep. And we know this. We know time and time again of like the heroin, addicts, the oxy, addiction stuff that we've got going on. It's a huge money making scheme, scam, collusion. I won't say conspiracy theory, but it's huge, and a lot of this is just money. And yeah, it's society has gotten trained to like, oh, you got a problem, take a pill. And I'm like, yeah, but I was really disappointed though that that my doctor didn't even offer up diet or nutrition, right? Now maybe it's because I told him my cholesterol is always high, right? Because I said, well, I can even go vegan for 2 weeks and get tested and my cholesterol is still high. But then after I told him, let me try changing, give me 30 days and let's see what happens. He said, let's try it for 90 days. Because apparently you need more time to do that. It's for a significant change to take effect. It's like, okay, fine. Well, if that was the case, then if he was factoring that in, then he should have known that it would take me more than like 2 weeks of being vegan to affect it. So he should have told me, well, you can do it for short term, but it needs to be a longer term before you see a notable change. So again, from my perspective, it was just like high cholesterol statin and, like problem push pill. And I just do not like that. So, but thanks to recording everything fairly religiously in I was using MyFitnessPal. I recently switched, as I mentioned, to Food Noms. But for recording years and years of stuff, I can open up my Apple Health app, and I looked and I saw that my average daily intake of cholesterol for the last 6 months or so has been 450 milligrams.
Mm-hmm.
The US no longer publishes an RDA for cholesterol. They stopped doing that a few years ago. But when they did, the recommended daily allowance was 300.
Huh.
So if you look at my annual average, it's like in the 420s. For the last 6 months, it's been closer to 450.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because I've been training for an ultra marathon and using that as an excuse to chow down on burgers and pizza and eggs. And I never paid attention to how much cholesterol is in a freaking egg. Oh my goodness. There's a ton of cholesterol in an egg. And I was eating 3-4 at a time, like for breakfast. And then like, that's like 2-3 times the daily allotment right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pleased to say that when I look in my Apple Health app, let me just take another look right now. And I look at my cholesterol, my yearly average right now is 422 milligrams per day.
Mm-hmm.
The 6-month average is 441 per day. Because again, summertime, ultra marathon training.
Mm-hmm.
This month, my average is 265.
There you go.
And this past week, 255.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going down, right? It's trending in the right direction. Now, the question is, will this have a significant effect on my blood work, which we'll know maybe in a couple of months from now.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest change I made, you might wonder?
You started eating salad.
No, I eat plenty of salad already. Number one, I've cut way back on the eggs. Of course, I did, this happened after I bought like a 2 dozen pack at Costco, like literally the day before my doctor's appointment.
Yeah, eat those, eat them all up in 2 or 3 days, because there's no way you could get all that cholesterol in. I mean, a lot of it's got to pass.
Oh God. So I'm eating more egg whites. But I decided I am experimenting. Now I'm not huge on processed foods and whatnot. But one change I did make is I get a monthly delivery of organic meats. I changed it. I got rid of all the beef, all the pork, and just went chicken and fish, which still has cholesterol, but
good
not as
cholesterol.
much. But also not as much. Now here's the thing. It's like when you eat a food, though, you can't really, they don't break it down on the nutrition facts. What's good cholesterol versus bad cholesterol. So I'm just trying to lower
and you
it
have
all
to
around.
have some cholesterol. You have to have cholesterol for your body to function.
Well, vegans don't.
They do. They get it through, avocados and things like that.
There's no cholesterol in avocados. No, cholesterol is animal products only. Cholesterol comes from animals. Yeah, they get fats.
Yeah, so they gotta have the fats. They got oils. They gotta have oil.
You can generate, though. I believe your body can make its own cholesterol. I think if it's a necessary thing, it's got to. Otherwise, vegans would be dying of cholesterol deficiency.
Yeah.
So, but the other thing I did do is, like I said, even though I'm, trying not to eat as much in the way of processed foods, I did take a dip into the land of meat-like substitutes. And I have been eating Impossible burgers, and I tried the Beyond Meat burgers and since they're my favorite grocery store, Wegmans store brand plant-based burgers.
So I'm hoping you're going to come back with a list of burgers that are Impossible that I could eat and enjoy.
They're not that bad. First off, right off the bat, it does not take, just imagine the best, juiciest hamburger you've ever had. It doesn't taste like that. It does not taste like that. No.
I thought you were going to tell me it was going to be like 90% of that.
No. So now imagine.
How much cholesterol's in ketchup?
0.
All right, ketchup.
Bingo. Now just imagine an average burger that you've had. Like
something I burned on the grill.
Yeah, sure. Like maybe just like a step above McDonald's, maybe a Five Guys, like a decent burger, not the greatest you've ever had, but a decent burger. They kind of taste like that.
Oh, okay.
I don't so in my rating, it goes Beyond, Impossible, Wegmans in increasing order. Beyond, for whatever, I just don't like it as much. I liked the consistency. Okay. But I remember I bought some for myself and cooked it at home. And as I was taking a bite, I inhaled a little bit to take the bite, and it felt like I had a mouthful of chemicals. Not a great first impression.
Yeah.
Right. The Impossible burgers, they taste fine. I got a big bag of those because they were out of the other ones that I wanted. They're okay. The consistency's definitely, it's more processed, more, thinner, more like a hockey puck burger. But the Wegmans store brand plant-based burgers, I really like. And all of them, like nutritionally, they're all very close. They're all within a couple, like 10 calories of each other. They have similar amounts of fats and proteins, etc. So I like the Wegmans brand, which coincidentally, it's the cheapest. So, like win. And they're all within, like, I forget how much they are, but they're all within $1 or within 50 cents of each other. Like the Wegmans is like $5.49, Beyond is like $5.99, and Impossible is $6.99 or $6.49, for like 2 patties or so.
Yeah.
So it's priced comparably to beef, comparably to chicken. It's in that same range. Hopefully it'll get cheaper over time, as they get the process ironed out and it becomes easier to make. So anyway, so that's what I've been doing. I feel fine. Of course, you can't feel your cholesterol, so that doesn't really mean anything there, but
yeah,
I'll be checking it out soon, and hopefully have a good story to tell there. So,
have you had a not a colostomy, a
colonoscopy?
Colonoscopy? Yeah.
Yes, sir, I have.
You have. All right. Well, I just wondered because, if with higher cholesterol, there's increased chance for polyps. And if you've had trouble with cholesterol, I wondered, if you've had that checked.
Came back free and clear.
Squeaky clean.
The actual experience of a colonoscopy, not that big a deal. Really not that big a deal. The day of preparation of drinking gallons of Miralax in Gatorade, kill me.
Yeah.
That's the worst, but here's the thing. If you told me I had to do that, like say, fast like that and do a cleanse like that, say once a month versus going on medication that, 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000 chance of giving you a heart attack, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Keep your pills. Thank you very much. So, yeah. So,
so I haven't had mine. I guess they've decreased the age to 45 instead of 50. So I've already passed mine. So I was just gonna any time now, maybe.
Yeah, I would call and schedule it. It's just, the hardest part is just like, you got to stop eating now and just drink Gatorade. And it's like, thick, syrupy consistency Gatorade that doesn't taste that good. You've done harder things probably once a week in the gym. It's not that bad. And towards the end, it's like, man, I'm so hungry, I could really use some real food right now. That's okay. You can eat whatever you want after you drink this next liter of Gatorade, and I guarantee after you drink that, you're not going to want to put anything else in your mouth. So it's a self-correcting problem.
Yeah So cool. All right, on a totally different topic, we're getting out of the rectum area and into the brain area. Have you read any of Robert Galbraith's books, the Cormoran Strike series? So that is R.K. Rowling's pseudonym, the writer of Harry Potter series.
J.K.?
So, J.K. Rowling. Yeah.
Oh, so she writes under the name of a guy?
Yeah.
Got it. And were they super more popular because of bias?
I don't know. I mean, my personal opinion was, when I read the first book of her pseudonym, I did not know it was her. I don't do any research on, I don't care. I mean, I just didn't care to figure out who an author is, what their politics are, or, any of that stuff. So I didn't know it was her. And I probably would have had a bias, because I probably would have viewed this book as a book series being written by the author of Harry Potter, and I would have been looking for Harry Potter stuff, honestly.
Yep. Yep.
And I probably wouldn't have given it the shot that I gave it, because I thought it was a male writer writing a mystery series from a man who's a former equivalent to the British SEALs. You know, he was a special forces guy.
Commando.
Yep. Yeah, commando, had his leg blown off, and then now this is the second part of his life, and he's a private detective. And so I wouldn't have given the author the same shot. If I'd known it was her, I would have probably had a bias. So in her defense, it was probably a good move to give her a shot. You know, it's like Harrison Ford. Well, are you going to be anything other than Han Solo? You know,
yes,
we're all
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, you're either Indiana Jones or Han Solo. But you know, it's kind of like that. So I didn't have a problem with her doing the pseudonym. And then after I read the first book, I just totally took whatever else she wrote on top of that as she's a good writer. Of course, now
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good way to get around, you know, bias, but also, you know, both positive bias as well. You know, like Stephen King did that too under the pseudonym Richard Bachman, right? The Bachman books. But as I recall, those were pretty much the same as his normal stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of like, well, especially as an author, because there's a lot of it's a lot more intimate being an author at times, I think, that you get with your reader, and being able to not pigeonhole yourself, I think that's a nice thing. You know, you just take it as this is a new author series. So, but anyway, so the last one I'm reading right now, I'm listening to it on Audible, and it's called The Ink Black Heart. And it's about a cartoon series that starts off on, you know, this, it's kind of like this little indie cartoon that goes out there. They made it, went on YouTube, and then it became a hit sensation. And then, you know, then the creators get attacked and killed. And then it's the mystery of figuring out who attacked and killed them. But the book was really long. It's when on Audible, I got on it. It's a 34-hour Audible. So I looked at it. I was like, okay, this is going to be a long book. I mean, same as if I were physically looking at the book. I'm like, okay, this is probably a 1,200 page book. That'd be my guess. It's going to be a long book. But it'd been over a year and a half since I read her, since she released the last book. So I was looking forward to a long immersion in the book. I'm like, it's been a year. Let's do this. Let's
dive back in.
Let's dive back in and enjoy the characters and enjoy the environment. And I went out there, and the day it was, so I had it in my pre-list in Audible. I prepaid for it. So as soon as it was released, I got it. And there was already a negative review. The morning, it hasn't even been released for longer than like 3 hours. And somebody is like, well, one, it's a 34-hour Audible book. There's no way you read it. It's a, you know, it's a 1,200 page book.
Keep in mind though, that you can preload those. People definitely, like Tim Ferriss told how to game that system. You can preload those. I think Robin might have gone over some of this with us too. But you can essentially solicit your reviews ahead of time. So it is possible, if you get advanced copies on these, to game the system. That said, usually the advanced ones are people that you're hoping at least are going to give you good reviews.
Yeah, they're your fans. Yeah. But I was irritated at these people who were like, it was just too long. It's entirely too long to read. And I couldn't stand the hashtags and the So a lot of the mystery is in YouTube, online, in Twitter. So, and in a game. So they're, you know, if you're reading it from the log, you know, Peter N says, and then Adam K says, you know, and it's kind of like reading a play at some point. It's like, I prefer it to be a smooth read through, just narrated. But at the same time, it was the spirit of the book. I mean, the whole book, and it was like, oh, it's entirely too long. I'm like, you knew how long it was before you even read one word of the book. or listen to one word. So it's shame on you. I mean,
Yeah.
I wanted an immersion. I'm like, I wanted to be with this author because I hadn't read this, series in a year. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. Yeah.
Maybe
Like people,
maybe they didn't look before they bought it and they were just feeling mad.
I don't know. People were just trolls out there. And then there were people, they were upset because apparently J.K. Rowling has said some things that didn't set well politically, PC wise.
I
And
remember hearing that. I don't remember what she said,
yeah,
but I remember, that there was something about,
yeah,
something
something
political.
PC.
That's all I know, but I don't know what it was and I didn't pay any attention.
But the only way that you could safely not offend anybody is to you
Not say
can't even
anything.
you can't even say nothing. That'll offend some people. Well,
Yep.
you didn't defend me.
On that note, I hear Queen Elizabeth passed away a couple days ago. The
Yeah,
Queen of England. Yep.
yeah, yeah.
So there's lots of hubbub about that, about, like, how will she be remembered? And,
Oh yeah.
supposedly she did some good things, but the institution did a lot of bad things, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot pole, but I sort of did. But now that I've mentioned it, okay, I'm done. So rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth.
Yep.
Let's hope for better times. King Charles, I guess now. Chuck is king, I suppose.
So yeah, he is. He hasn't been officially inaugurated yet, but I don't know that officially means that he. I mean, I think he's king. I mean,
I'm
he
pretty
is
sure he's
king.
king once
Yeah,
around. I don't think
he's
that's
king.
something they vote on there. So.
Yeah, no, it's not a voted thing. But I did, I did not know the straight line of succession, how that worked.
Yeah.
And I saw a news article on that, and it talked about that. So the Queen, and then Charles is her son, and so he was direct in line. I wasn't sure who was in line after William. I knew that William would be after Charles because he's his eldest son. I
Right.
wasn't sure if the next in line would be Harry, but it's actually William's children. His
Yeah.
three children are the
Yep.
next in line
It follows
before
the
Harry.
firstborn. Yeah.
Yeah. But and then I don't think Harry can take it anyway because he's abdicated.
With
Or
Meghan, right?
no, I think it's
Harry and Meghan,
because
or Harry and, or who am I thinking? I don't
yeah,
even
he
know.
did he had
You can see how much I don't pay attention to the royal
yeah,
family.
he did marry, but it doesn't have anything to do with his marriage. I think it's because he stepped out of the royal, he's pushed his stuff off and he's not taking a role in the royal thing. But I don't think he like officially like quote unquote abdicated the throne like the before Elizabeth's dad, his brother abdicated the throne. He said,
Yeah.
I'm stepping down. I'm not going to do it. And I think that once that done is done, it's done. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really care. I mean, it's slightly interesting, but so
Yeah. It's a soap opera, whatever.
mm-hmm.
So we still got tons to talk about. I'm gonna go through real quick, just a
Okay.
few things, knock them off. I bought concert tickets to 2 concerts next week.
Mm-hmm.
One
Wow.
is the Piano Guys. They'll be coming to Medford, so they're right up the street from me. They do a lot of
Is that
covers of
Elton John and
not
Billy Joel
and Billy
together?
Joel. Yes, exactly. No,
We call us the Piano Men.
that would be. Have they actually toured together? I don't know. It sounds like something that actually did happen, but no.
That would be one heck of a concert if they meshed.
Dueling pianos. Yeah,
Dueling pianos, that'd be cool.
No, these are, I think they're a duo called the Piano Guys, and they do a lot of covers of other hits and stuff. And that they're coming right to Medford in my hometown, so that'll be cool.
Mm-hmm.
But 3 days later, I got tickets to Boston Garden to see Eric Clapton.
Nice. The slow hand.
Slow hand. I am just hoping that they'll do Layla and not the unplugged version. But I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, if not, it's going to be amazing one way or another. But I'm excited about that.
He has so much repertoire of good music.
Oh yeah.
If you don't hear the one song that you were hoping for, you got to hear a lot of other good
It'll
things
be
too.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
it'll be
I'll
okay.
be okay with that. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm seeing Clapton next Friday night, so that'll be cool. But with each of those purchases on Ticketmaster, they said, hey, do you want a free month of Apple TV Plus?
Uh-huh.
And
So
I was
you
like, sure, because I didn't get one with my new MacBook Air. I was kind of surprised. I thought I would get something with my MacBook purchase, but apparently now it only is with like iPhone and watch stuff. So it's like, sure. And I added it in, and sure enough, right there in my account, it's working. And so now I've been catching up on Ted Lasso season 2.
So you hadn't seen season 2?
I had not. I had saw the episode 1, and then my free Apple TV Plus expired and I never paid for it. But I will also be watching season 2, one with Jason Momoa.
Yeah, I haven't watched that. Is it good?
I enjoyed the first season. There were times where it was gripping. It's a little hard to believe. Like, it's all about, it's basically post-apocalyptic, but the thing that destroys humanity or society as we know it is everyone, like, I don't know if it was overnight or whatnot, but everyone goes blind. And so now everyone is blind except for these very, very, very few exceptions. And that's the big thing, is trying to find the exceptions and, either make them messiahs or kill them, or, whatever, depending on who you are. So, but I enjoyed season 1, and I'm curious. I know, what's his name? Batista there is, Army of the Dead and Drax the Destroyer. Dave, thank you. Yes. He's in there in season 2. But I did hear apparently season 3 is coming as well.
Okay.
So apparently it's doing good enough to do 3 seasons of that. So I'll probably be binging some of that tonight. I also am a couple episodes behind on She-Hulk. I did enjoy. I've enjoyed the first couple episodes. I thought they were good. So yeah, I'm watching that. And then real quick, I'm getting my 5th COVID shot this weekend. And I decided, you know what? Let's go all in. Get me the flu vaccine while we're at it. And I'm going to do one in one arm, one in the other. Alexa, stop. So I expect there's a chance that come around that Monday, I might be feeling a little down. We will see. I'm kind of doubling up my bets there, So we'll see that. But the real big question, did you watch the Apple event this week?
I did not.
So have you yet heard anything about the new Apple Watch series?
I have not.
Have you heard anything about the new iPhone 14?
I've heard nothing.
Have you heard anything about the AirPods Pro 2nd generation?
I have not.
Have you heard about the new Apple Watch Ultra?
I heard you and Scott speaking those words, but I don't know what they are.
I was about to, I was seriously looking at a Garmin or a Coros or some other thing because, I've decided I like this ultra running thing. I like being out for hours and hours at a time. I like having a rock solid thing with better GPS, more real battery life, and something maybe a little more rugged. The Apple Watch Ultra is all of these.
Okay.
And I was surprised at how much it costs because it's priced comparably to those others. Scott and I were we were both guessing it was going to be $9.99. It's $7.99. So it ain't cheap. I'll give you that. But it's priced on par with like a high-end Garmin watch.
Wow.
And I get to stay in the Apple ecosystem. They've made 3 new, so the whole watch itself is different. Like, it's compatible with all the stuff but it's rated for like scuba diving. It's rated for high altitude, like, trekking in the Himalayas. It's rated for super heat and super cold. They have 3 different types of bands for it now. So there's like the alpine band, the endurance band, and the diving band, the underwater kind. Yeah. So the cool thing is it will be available for sale on September 23rd. My race is on the 25th. Here's the thing. the endurance band, and that's the one that applies to me the best, right? I could probably get away with the alpine band. I don't need the fisherman's friend band or whatever that one's called.
There's trail loop, ocean band.
Yeah, so I don't need ocean. I want the trail one. That one supposedly is not available for like 6 to 7 weeks.
Okay.
So what I'm planning to do. Oh, and the other thing too is like I was going to order it and then schedule it for pickup. And then they're like, no, you can't pick up this watch. We can only deliver it to you.
Of course.
I was like, why? But they're like, oh, COVID-19. I'm like, I picked up my MacBook. What are you talking about? And by the way, when I was there, no one was wearing a mask except me. So what the heck is this?
Yeah.
Speaking of which, brief MacBook Air M2 update. I've had it for about a month. Still loving it. So happy. I am podcasting to you from it right now. And it's nice that I can pick up my, unplug my desktop PC from here and take it downstairs and just have everything with me. Battery life is amazing. The seamless transition between like my other Apple devices. I'm like, yes, thank you. Very happy about that. Anyway, so I'm in line for an Apple Watch Ultra, not an Apple Watch Pro, not an Apple Watch Plus, not an Apple Watch Max, an Apple Watch Ultra, because we need yet another trim of differentiatings.
What size did you get?
I will get the largest one.
You got the largest one?
I will. Well, I didn't order anything yet.
So, do you have the largest one now?
Yes. It's like 44 millimeters.
Yeah, 44 millimeters. That's what I had. And it almost felt just a little big. Yeah. I thought about going to the size down, but I think that the screen size would be just a little small because it's already small. But I mean, so this is what I'm wearing now. And I don't know what
Timex
is. Timex. And
I mean, I'm not like a, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Dwayne Johnson, like, I need to have a boulder on my wrist kind of thing. In fact, I've heard other guys have expressed concern. They're like, I'm afraid it's going to make my little tiny wrist look even littler, like I get that, and that's the thing, big guy needs a big watch, right? I'm like, yeah, but if you go too big, I think that goes in the opposite direction. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I would really like, so as far as wearing, I would like mine to be the one size down that's not quite women's size, but it's
like 42, I think.
Yeah, just slightly smaller, because all I need to see on a watch, all I need to see is the time and the date. Now with the Apple Watch, there's more information, but if I'm just going to wear a watch, all I need is the time and the date. It doesn't need to be too big. So, but anyway.
So I'm psyched, but my plan is to go in store to get it. And I don't think I will have it during the race, but I'm pretty okay with that because I had a really good experience with battery life when I went for my run. I turned off Wi-Fi, turned off cellular on the watch, turned off the always on display, I turned on low power mode on my phone. And had plenty of battery life at the end of it, so I'm not worried about losing, having enough battery for the thing. But it would be kind of cool, like, oh, what's your first run with the new watch? My first real ultra marathon, of course. So
nice. Yeah. But well, cool. So one thing I want to go back to is so Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista were in Dune, the remake of Dune. Have you seen that?
I have not.
Have you read the books?
I have not.
It's a tough start. So it's a tough start. I mean, just imagine whatever the situation is, a complex situation is occurring and you're being thrown right in the middle of it. And you've been given no clue and you're not given any guidance of oh, Peter Nikolaidis, he happens to be, he lives in north of the state and Adam lives in Tennessee. There's nothing at all. And it's just like you're thrown into an alien world with alien politics, an emperor, a fiefdom, religions and powers that you aren't sure, like, are they magic or are they religious? Are they what? And
are they spice?
There's spice. There is spice.
Spicy powers.
Spicy powers. So Dune, I've tried to read it twice, and I got through further the second time,
Okay.
and I gave up again because I was like,
Okay.
I just don't care, because politics really don't interest me, and it's really politic heavy
Got
as
it.
far as like understanding the finer points of politics. And if you do this, then this little thing over here occurs, which is, now it's moved from light gray to light gray, I mean, it doesn't interest me. But I watched the movie, and it doesn't really get much better from the standpoint of you're lost. But it's a 2.5 hour movie, and by the end of the 2.5 hour movie, which I made myself watch, I was like, oh, this is getting good. It was the end of the movie. I was like, about the time I really like, I'm with you now. I want to see what's going to happen. I get it. I know who these characters are. I know what's going on. And it's the end of the movie. So,
Well, there you go.
so if you wanted to watch the movie, I can recommend it, because I started off confused, and by the end of the movie, I was like, I wanted to see more, but there was no more to be had. So I mean, really, isn't that the what you want? At the end
Always
of a
leave
book,
them,
all
always leave them wanting more.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So from that standpoint, it was a success.
Unless you're sitting there saying, wait, what the hell? That,
Yeah,
oh,
so that
brother.
was good. Wow. Yeah, we're on a marathon podcast here. We might as well, just finish out. So I am experimenting. So I've been a Cisco Meraki
Yes.
user, and that's what we use for my company. The purpose of the Cisco Meraki is I want a single pane of glass that all of my technicians can see all of my clients' firewalls, that I can provision for a technician at once. I could also de-provision a technician at once, and they lose access to all of my clients' firewalls. So it's good for my clients. It's good for my team. You can argue the merits of Meraki versus Sophos versus Fortinet
Yeah,
versus,
but I
yeah, I
don't
mean,
feel like it.
yeah, forget that. So it checks a number of my business boxes. It doesn't check 100% of them, but it checks a lot of them. Well, Meraki, you can't buy right now. They're 60 to 150 days out, depending. So I've just been buying Merakis every couple of months, and then eventually I'll have a backlog of them here in my office. Well, the Meraki Go is the small business version. It's practically the same Meraki piece of equipment, other than it's white,
Okay. As
um,
opposed to,
silver.
okay.
The other, but it feels like the same material. Although actually, this feels like steel instead of aluminum. The other one's aluminum. So I'm gonna give it a go and see how it goes for small business from a standalone standpoint.
Mhm.
It won't be under a single pane of glass, but it will be in a Meraki cloud environment that my technicians can get to, and it kind
Mm,
of shorten the gap. So we'll
that's
see.
cool.
I'll let you know how that goes.
I am curious because I am working with a client now. Although nowadays, as I start to creep up the ladder,
Mm-hmm.
I'm working with a large nationwide auto parts chain, serving as their CISO,
Mm-hmm.
and they do have a Meraki installation, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I will, if I ever see the console on this and stuff, it's going to be weird, right? That's not the point. Like, so I am curious though, like, cause I'm basically working on a high level, like more of a strategic overview.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be doing this. But
Yeah.
that said, I do like to hear stories from the field as to like what really works, what
Mm-hmm.
problems are there, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'd be curious to hear how that, how that goes.
Yeah, because I've got a question right now for my Meraki people that I haven't had a chance to pose, and that is, so I'm using a service called Galactic Advisors. I don't know if you, Bruce McCulley, he used to run an MSP here in Nashville, but now he runs Galactic Advisors, and they are cybersecurity advisors for IT companies as well as for us to make our clients more secure. So he's trying to make and I've learned a lot of cybersecurity stuff that I didn't know, very small details that I just was unaware of.
Okay.
But one of the tests, as they said in my report that I ran, was they were able to get a payload of malicious material, files down through my Meraki firewall without it detecting it. So I need to find out what that was. I mean, I don't know what, because it runs as an agent and does the scans, but it went out and grabbed a malicious file and brought it down, and the firewall didn't stop it. I need to know what that is. So,
yep.
But I also, I mean, does Meraki know that it was a test file and shouldn't be marked, or did it miss it? And I want to know why it missed it.
Usually security systems trip on tests. That's kind of the point. That's like the lowest bar for them to detect. So you generally should assume they're going to catch it. And if it didn't, then it missed it somehow. I'd be curious, like, what did they do? How did they circumvent it? Did they just downloading and we're good? Or, was it encoded in a zip file? Was it broken up? And what I'd be kind of curious.
Because I would think it would be like you said, you would want to know that the firewall is going to get the basic stuff. If you're going to be ultra tricky, you're like, well, we tricked it, but we put it in a zip file. We changed its extension to underscore something else and encoded that in a text file. And like, oh, well, no wonder. Good for you.
A little bit though. I mean, it was just like we put it in a zip file.
And you didn't catch it. Yeah.
And so unzip, let's scan the freaking zip file, people, So.
Yeah. So I'll let you know. It'll be interesting. So it's a little bit different flavor of Meraki, but I actually thought it was a fake. I thought it was a knockoff of Meraki, but it's their really small business platform. But you got to run it from a mobile app on your phone, and I don't like that at all.
Oh, so no. So I just had a Sonos beta suggestion, solicitation, and they asked me for feedback on use of the desktop app versus the mobile apps. And they asked, like, what do you usually use? Like, why do you use a desktop app and not the mobile app? I'm like, because when I'm sitting there at the keyboard using my computer, it's more convenient to not have to stop and pick up the phone. That's why. Like, if there was one feature you could add, what would it be? I said, feature parity with the mobile app. It's like, I want to add a new Sonos, speaker. Like, great, go grab your phone. I don't want to grab my phone. I've got a fully functional computer here. This computer can do everything that the phone can do. Why do I need to go get, So I don't understand that other than just like, we're lazy and we don't want to develop for multiple platforms.
Yeah.
And, and I can see that, like, from a mobile installer person, like if you have a tech on site, probably going to be easier for him to whip out the phone. If all other things being equal, he doesn't need a laptop for anything else. I can see why, there's appeal of there.
Yeah.
But I would expect that Cisco is a big enough company that could swing a desktop app.
Yeah. Well, and it's all got to do with, I think, with the application too, but they do talk about their language on the Meraki Go as you being an IT professional. So as an IT professional, I have more than just one client. So putting the app on my phone and logging in with a user on my phone, that limits me. Now I gotta log out if I can log out.
Yep. If I can log out, yes.
We'll find out.
Oh boy.
All right.
And we didn't even talk about the cool new features coming to the iPhone 14. So I think you should go back and watch the keynote and figure out and we should talk next week about our next episode, whenever that is, about what features we want most in the new Apple products. I think we should put a pin in that.
All right. iPhone 14. Let's talk about it.
There's some really, really cool stuff. I will say this much. I heard the rumor mill, and the stuff that I thought was like the craziest like, no way, that is not happening. Nope. That stuff came true.
Nice.
And I was astonished. So there you
cool.
go.
Because I'm due. I've got 2 more payments left on my phone.
I'm curious. See, I'm wondering too if, I don't know, because Verizon gave me a sweet deal. So I'm on a 12 because like just before the 13 came out, Verizon was like, we'll give you $1,000 off a 12. I was like,
wow.
Okay, sure. I'll lag behind for that.
Yeah,
but,
I'm on 11, so
yeah,
my 11's about ready to be
Yep.
up for renewal.
You'll notice a difference. There's some really cool stuff. So anyway, cool. Well, on that note, I'm gonna go run.
All right.
Just
you're gonna
21
run. Just a little 21-mile jaunt.
I'm happy to report that since when we started recording, the temperature was 79. It went up to 80, and it is now back down to 78. So it's moving in the correct direction.
Brilliant.
So, sir,
well,
pleasure as always.
How can people find us?
Yeah, I was just going to say, we should probably tell people how to find us. I mean, let's be honest. If you're listening to this, you probably already know.
You probably found us.
You probably already found us on blurringthelinespodcast.com or on your favorite podcatcher of choice. If you can't find that and you like having trouble spelling things, you can try to find me at Nikolaidis.com. From there, you have links to my yoga teaching site and my consultancy, a security consultant site. You can find Adam at sublimecomp.com and
rrlavenderfarm.com.
rrlavenderfarm.com. You can find us at rlavenderfarm.com. It sounds like after a couple of beers.
Yeah.
You can also occasionally find me, and more occasionally find Adam, on the Friends with Beer podcast.
Yes, sir.
Which I co-host with my friends and friend of the show, Scott Wilsey. And that's over at friendswithbeer.com and on Twitter at friendswithbeerpod. We're on Twitter too. We're on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Nikolaidis. You're on at Sublime Comp, right?
Sublime Comp. Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember. Do we have a Twitter for this show? No, we don't have a Twitter. No. I didn't think so. I was going to say, am I completely forgetting something important here? No, I'm not. Thank God. Okay. So.
We do have a Facebook page, though.
If you say so.
Yeah.
I still have a Facebook account. I deleted it in 2018. So 4 years ago, almost exactly 4 years ago, I deleted my Facebook account, followed all of the steps to not touch it, not even think about Facebook. So they couldn't say, oh, you thought about us. We kept your account active for you. Aren't you happy?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't do any of that. And sometime about a month ago, I started getting password resets.
Yeah, I've been tagging you and writing on your timeline.
Thanks.
I tried to log in as you a couple of times, and you're welcome.
Yeah, that's great.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. On that note, because I'm so happy with you, I'm going to push the big red button.
Big red button.